Today we're going to look at operations with negative fractions. So the techniques and rules for adding, subtracting, multiplying and dividing integers, they also apply for fractions. They're exactly the same rules. So for adding and subtracting, if we subtract a large fraction, a very big fraction, away from a smaller fraction, it will result in a negative value. Okay, that's just by looking at the number line. If we take a very large value of any number, any integer or fraction or any value away from a smaller number, we'll get a negative number. So the rules are the same for adding and subtracting integers or negative integers as it is for positive fractions. So if we add a negative fraction, that's the same as subtracting. If we subtract a positive, that's the same as just subtracting the integer or subtracting the fraction. If we subtract a negative integer or fraction, then that's the same as adding that integer. And if we add a positive integer or fraction, that's the same as adding. So here we've got some examples. If I've got a half plus negative 1/3, that's the same as a half minus a third. And if we've got a half minus positive 1/3, that's exactly the same as a half minus 1/3. So you notice I've got brackets around the negative or positive, the fraction. That's just to separate it out. If the brackets weren't there, it could get potentially confusing. You may or may not see brackets there. You may see 1/2 plus minus 1/3, and that might be confusing for you. If you see if you see two a plus and a minus next to each other, it's going to be adding the negative or subtracting the positive, or whatever the two operations there are. So the value that's directly next to the fraction is talking more about the fraction, and this is the operation that's going to be done on it. So here, once again, with our rules, if we do a half minus a negative 1/3, that's the same as a half plus a third. And if we have 1/2 plus positive a third, that's the same as a half plus 1/3. Having a look at some examples now. Calculating these examples, let's have a look. So 2/7 plus negative 5/7. We've got plus a negative, so that's the same as take away, subtract. So 2/7 subtract 5/7. Then if we've got 2 and we subtract 5 of those sevenths away, we're going to be into negative territory. Just like if the temperature was 2 degrees Celsius and it became 5 degrees Celsius cooler, it cooled down by 5 degrees Celsius, it would be negative 3 degrees Celsius. So here, negative 3/7. That's 2/7 take away 5/7. We have negative 3/7. So here if we've got 2/3 subtract negative 4/3, if we subtract a negative, that's the same as adding. So that's going to be the same as 2/3 plus 4/3. That's 6/3 in total, and 6/3 is the same as 2. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 1/5 plus a negative 1/4. Adding a negative, we're going to be left with just a subtract. It's going to be the same as subtract. So 1/5 minus 1/4. Now we don't have the same denominator, so we need to make sure that we can do that. So we find the lowest common multiple of 5 and 4. Lowest common multiple of 5 and 4 is 20. So multiplying the top and the numerator and denominator by 4 on this side, we get 4/20, and multiplying the numerator and denominator by 5 here gets 5/20. So 4/20 subtract 5/20 means we get negative 1/20 left over, because 4 subtract 5 is negative 1. Here for our last one, we've got a mixed number, but it's a subtracting a negative, so that's the same as add. So negative 7/3 plus 3 2/3. So that negative, subtracting a negative becomes positive there. So negative 7/3 plus 3 2/3. We can convert this back to an improper fraction. So negative 7/3 plus 11/3. If we've got negative 7 and then we add 11, then we're going to get positive 4. So negative 7/3 plus 11 of those thirds, and we get 4/3. So 4/3 is going to be 1 1/3. If we look at the rules for multiplying and dividing, once again they're the same as for integers. So on this left-hand side here, if we have the same symbols, if we multiply or divide both positive or both negative, then we're going to get positive. So here, a positive multiplied by a positive is positive. And it's the same for dividing two positives. If we divide a positive by a positive, we yield a positive. We get a positive in return. Similarly, if we have two negatives, whether they're multiplying or dividing, a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive as well. So each of these, if the symbol is the same, then it's going to be positive. If the symbol is the same, then it's going to be positive. This is with multiply or divide. If the symbols are different, if the signs are different, so if it's plus a positive times a negative times a positive divided by a negative, or a negative divided by a positive, then the answer will be negative. You can see here, they're different, and they're all negative. These are the same, and they're all positive. So let's have a look at some examples here. If we multiply these two fractions together, two positive fractions, we get a positive fraction. Multiply two negative fractions, and we get a positive fraction. If we divide two positive fractions, we get a positive fraction. And if we divide two negative fractions, oh, I'm missing a bracket there. There should be a bracket there. If we divide two negative fractions, we get a positive as well. So here the signs are the same. Both positive, both negative, both positive, both negative, and they're all positive. Here, if we do have a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive, the answer is negative. And here, if we have a positive divided by a negative, and a negative divided by a positive, we get negatives as well. So here, the signs are different, signs are different, signs are different, signs are different. They're all negatives. So having a look at a couple of examples here. We've got 2/3 times negative 4/5. We've got different signs, so it's going to be negative. And then we just multiply as usual. 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 5 is 15. So it'll be negative 8/15. Here we've got the signs are the same. So because the signs are the same, it'll be positive. So it'll be the same, exactly the same value as 6/5 times 3/4. 6/5 times 3/4. 6 times 3 is 18. 5 times 4 is 20. So that simplifies to 9/10. Here we've got the signs are the same, so it'll be positive. This is going to be the same as 2/5 divided by 3/4. 2/5 divided by 3/4 is the same as 2/5 times 4/3. We found the reciprocal of 3/4, and that's 4/3. So 2 times 4 is 8, 5 times 3 is 15. 8/15. Now here we've got negative 1 1/3 divided by 3. So negative 1 1/3, we can turn that to a mixed number. It's going to be negative 4/3 divided by 3. Now to work this out, to calculate this, we need to find the reciprocal of 3. The reciprocal of 3 is going to be 1/3, because 3, if 3 was a fraction, it would be 3 over 1, 3 divided by 1, 3 wholes, 3 whole amounts, W-H-O-L-E, whole amounts. So the inverse, the reciprocal, the flipped version of that is going to be 1/3. So here this goes from negative 4/3 divided by 3 to negative 4/3 times 1/3. So we've got here a negative and a positive, so the answer will be negative. 4 times 1 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. Negative 4/9.